Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Seminar Carnival. I'm Nontakan Bosin, or you can call me Non. I'm from Architecture program.
And I am Tanya Mine. I'm also from architecture program. You can call me Mine. So today we will be your master of ceremony of the day.
Recently, I have heard about the UX and UI on the social media a lot, and I'm a bit curious what it's about. Have you heard about it, Mai?
Yeah, non, I have heard a lot of it, but not really getting into the detail like what is it about.
Yeah, many people talk about the UX UI are the heart of the modern design, and I'm really interested in it. And what do you think about this?
Exactly. I'm pretty sure that we are using it in everyday life, like application, but we're not really noticing it.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. So today we will get to know more in detail about the UX and UI.
Yes, I'm really excited. So we have invited a guest to give us some knowledge about UX UI, and she's a young blood designer. I can call that she has a really modern way of thinking to design. And today we will learn about her aspect of the UX UI in the modern world.
So please welcome คุณน้ำเพชรนิชการใจบางอย่าง to our seminar.
Yay!
Hey.
Hi, good afternoon,
So
everyone.
good afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon. So, she is our friend, our alumni, and she has studied product design or industrial design, as we know. And she had just graduated last year, and now she is studying in UX UI field, and she is actually studying in the UK, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so what time is it, Nampet, in the UK? I feel like it's quite early for you today.
Yeah, so now it's just like 6:30 in the morning.
Yeah, it's so early. Thank you for being with us, Nampet.
You're welcome.
So no further ado, let's get to know more about her experience, shall we? So we would like to pass the next session to our guest.
As our MC have introduced a bit of the UX and UI, so today I will be like let's share like sharing experience about the UX and the UI design that I have experienced during I'm studying here. So I would introduce my name again. So I'm Nishakan Chaibangyang, or most of you know me as Nampet, and I'm the UX design student in the UK now. So before we start, I want to tell you a bit of my background. Like, my background was in industrial design, and I just graduated from industrial design from the School of Architecture and Design last year. And during that time, I also have a chance uh, to attend the exchange program in product design in the India as well. And as I'm studying in the School of Architecture and Design, and for the last year, in my final year project, I also have a chance to work on the mobile application, and that's what my let's say my first step that I'm interested in the UX design. So I decided to study further in the user experience design, and now I'm currently like pursuing the master degree of the user experience design in the United Kingdom. And in today's talk, I will be sharing you the experience about like what is the UX and the UI and the UX design process, and also like how it affect to our daily life and how it affect to the design field, and how I see like the UX design that will be affect in our future life. So let's get started. So first of all, let's talk like what is the UX and UI. I think many of you may have heard in terms of the UX and UI in terms of the abbreviation, but actually like what is it? So the term like UX and UI, UX is stand for the user experience, while UI stands for the user interface. And I am sure again that many people will think that UX and UI are different things and are somewhat like intersect in some part, but actually UI is a process that is a part of the UX or user experience design. And the UX is also a part of the CX or the customer experience. But in this talk, I will cover only in the UX design part. So what are the difference between these two, UX and UI? Let's talk about the UI first. So the UI, as its name is the user interface. So it's mainly focused on the interface design and the visual design, and also anything that the visual image of anything that the user interact with, and the layout, the branding, the color, and the typography. But the UI designer, they not just making the design looking good, they also need to consider about the user experience as well. For example, when they applying the color into the design, they are not just consider the beautifulness or the appearance, but they also need to consider about the user, like for example, like for people with the color blindness, they may not see some color or some contrast, so they also need to consider this part. And also for the typography, the font that they may be using, they need to consider about the text readability as well. These are just some example of the UI design. And move on to the left side, which is the UX design. So the UX design or the user experience, it will cover anything about the interaction design and also the UI design that a UI designer have created. And it's also cover anything about the experience, starting from the user research, the persona, the user story, information architecture, low fidelity and high fidelity prototype, and usability testing. And I'm sure now in this state, some of you may be confused, like what is information architecture or what is the low fidelity and high fidelity. So I will talk deeper into detail of the UX design process, along with giving some example of the work that I have done in last semester, the link I'm studying here. So this project is the mobile application for people with anxiety that I have created. It is a group work that I also have done with my friend last semester. So the first step of the UX design process that we start by conducting the user research. And also in the user research, there are many methods that you can choose from, which I will talk into the next topic. But for this project that I have done like kind of like the literature review about the background research and also the user survey in order to understand the user better. And next, after we got some of the background information and the data about the user, we will create the persona. What is the persona? Persona is kind of like the uh, how to explain the person. And if you are working in a team in real life, in real project, you need to create a persona. So every team member get the same picture of who are we designing for. What is our target user? What is their age range? Their gender, and also their goal and frustration. So we got the same, like the clear image of the persona. And after we got the persona, we will create the use case or the scenario. In this part, the scenario is the example of the use case where the user will use our design or let's say application. And also we will create the HTA diagram or hierarchical task analysis to see like what tasks they need to be done when they're using our application. And after we done that the scenario part, we will move on to the information architecture. In the information architecture, this part, the purpose of this process uh, is to have the architecture of the information and how to grouping the information, because what we are thinking may be different with what the user really think. So in this how as we doing the project, we may have like many idea and many and many features that we can think of. But how to group them in this part? The picture that show in the slide is the card sorting process, which is one of the process in the to do the information architecture. So you may create like different cards that have the feature in it, and then you may ask the user, what do you think we should group this together? And they may group in different category following their thinking. And for this, we can compare whether what we are thinking are the same as the user think or not, which can help us to easier when we kind of like divide the information when we are designing the application. And then after we done the information architecture, we will move to the low fidelity prototype. In this part, the purpose of the low fidelity is to generate any idea and to reduce the time that you will create the high fidelity, and also for the UX designer to create kind of like the layout, how the user may interact with the with the design. So the UI designer can design follow what the UX have done this task. And the low fidelity prototype include like paper sketches or digital sketches, and also creating the wireframe as well. And then in this part, the high fidelity prototype, it is the UI task. Like after we got like the wireframe on like where the button should be located or where should the information display. In this part, the UI will add some like color and to create the visual image and the interface design, like the color or the character animation, the text, and keep the consistency of the overall design. And after we're done with the high fidelity prototype, we will move on to the usability testing. In the usability testing, the purpose of this one is to test whether what we have designed or have done throughout the process are working with the user or not. And in the usability testing, there are two the data that we need to be collected, which is the quantitative data and qualitative data. What are the difference between these two? So the quantitative data is mostly about the number and statistic. When we ask the user to complete each task and testing them into each task, for the quantitative data, we can record the time that they complete each task, and we can compare whether it is good or not. And also, there are the SUS form, which is the system usability scale. In this one, we can ask the user to fill this form and give us a score. In this part, it is kind of like the ask the user about their satisfaction during they test our app. So, and we can calculate this score later. And for the qualitative data, for this one is mostly about the quality of experience during testing, which can be done by observing during their testing our application, or we may ask the user to think out loud. And also, we may have kind of like the interview after we done the testing as well. And after we done the usability testing, our task is not done yet because we received some feedback. So mostly the UX design process will work iteratively. So we may go back to the high fidelity prototype and editing or developing some element from follow that feedback. That is why we always saw like the update button or update notification in our app store, because we always need to keep up to date, follow the feedback. So these are all the just a brief of the UX design process. And what is the most challenging of like being the UX designer? So for me, I would say that this one, like designers are not the user. We need to always keep in mind that we are not the user. So we need to study about the user in like every time when we start a new project, because we may have like different target user. But the purpose, we need to understand the user well to design something for them. But how to understand them well is by doing the research. But how to do the research? So there are many design research methods that you can go for, whether the literature review through all the academic paper, the article, or the statistic document, or you can also done the survey, like online survey, or the observation to the user, or having the focus group, or having an interview. But how to choose the design research method among this part? I would say start with asking yourself a question like, what do you want to know? Which information you need? I would give another example of how I ask myself like the information and how do I convert this one into choosing the proper design research method. So these are one of my work during studying in the industrial design program. It is my final year project. So at that, this one is the mobile application about the renal diet for chronic kidney disease patient to eat effectively. At first, when I'm starting this application, I don't have any knowledge about the UX and UI design. So I just have intention to just create something for this group of user. I don't have any idea. So what I start by asking myself what information I want to know. So my first question was like, how many types of kidney disease? In this one, I know that this kind of information can be done through the literature review or whether it can be done through the interview. So I have done some interview with the profession like the nutritionist or the doctor. And my next question was like, how does the renal diet work? In this one, I know that this stuff is kind of like the about the meditation. So this can also be done by literature review as well, and also the interview with the nutritionist. And the next questions was like, how do people with different stage of the chronic kidney disease eat? In this one, is this the information that I need to got from the real user and cannot be found from the literature review. So this one, I know that I need to do the survey in order to see the overall image of how people actually eat. And I also have done some interview and observation of what they have eat. Like I'm asked the participant like whether I can observe them from what they are eating for a month. So in this part, I can get their eating pattern, which can be the information that may be benefit for me into when during I'm design. And the last question was like, what are their pain point? In this one, I also got it from the survey, the interview, and the observation as well. So to choose the right design research method, I think first thing you need to ask yourself like, what do you actually want to know? And the second thing is you need to look at your limitation. For example, like if you are working in a group, like how many people are in the team? If you have more people, you may choose like many design research method that fit with you. Or if you have like the time constraint or the limited time, you may can do only the survey and make you cannot do the observation. So these are maybe like some way to choose the proper design research method. And after you done all the user research, when come to the design part, you may be struggle like how to find the inspiration. I would say that this part may be different from this different person. Someone may find the inspiration by like going outside or traveling or just like walking around. So for me, I would say talking to other people also help you to get some new idea, some fresh idea that you may not think of. Like you can talk to whether like your friends, your family, or your professor, because when you are thinking about one thing for so long, you may struggle with it and cannot think of any new idea. If you talk to the new people, they may have like different thought, or maybe they can give you the feedback as well. So I think like talking can also help. And another thing, like what I have done is like um, I would find the design Instagram for both, like whether like the product design or the UX design. So just following them on your social media, so you may see it on your feed like every day. So I have talked like so much about the UX design. So most of you may be like confused, like, but how it actually like impact to our life. So as most of you think, when you are thinking of the UX and UI, you may think of the mobile application or like the website design. So these are actually like correct, but actually the UX design are around us than what we may think of. It had been around us for like so long, include in like physical product, like the physical product as simple as the door. I would give an example for this one. So I think most of you have seen like this kind of door where you don't know like whether to be push or to be pull. So it had a sign to tell you. This door is called the Norman door. So the Norman door is a door where it tells you to do the opposite thing of what you actually supposed to do. And also the door that give the wrong signal and need the sign to be correct, like the pull or the push sign. But what is the how it's named like the Norman? So it's come from the Donald Norman, who is the researcher, professor, and also the director of the design lab in the University of California in the San Diego. And Donald Norman have also said that when a design as simple as a door has to come with an instruction manual, even a one-word manual like push or pull, then it is a failure quality design, which I totally agree. And since I come to study here, I have seen so many doors like this where I don't know like what to do with it. And these are the comparison between like the door that consider about the user experience and the door that does not consider the user experience. So on the left side, how they solve it, like with this kind of door, is by having the sign. But actually, if you are consider about the user experience, you may know like what are the problem and what the purpose of the usage. So what he have redesigned is that he redesigned this door by instead of having the handrail to hold, he changed it to be like the flat plate. So for the flat plate, the only thing you can interact and can do with this door is like push the door, which is kind of like helping and don't create like any new problem. And this is an example of in the physical product of when you are consider the UX or the user experience design. And this one is come from the design of everyday thing by Donald Norman if you are interested to look further. And also there is also a video about the Norman door in the YouTube as well. That's what like how the UX design like impact to our daily life. But how does the UX study like impact the design industry? So in from my aspect, I would say that the user experience can be applied to the field of design or any other area. It is not just can be applied with the interface design or the mobile application, but it can also be applied into like whether like architecture, interior design, industrial design, lighting design, or the game design. Because when you are designing for people or for the users, and you need to consider their experience to create the good design as well. So I would give an example of like architecture. Like for architecture, the term that consider about the user experience is the universal design. What is the universal design? So the universal design is not the design that can be placed around the world, but actually is it the design that allow every people to access into this design. For example, this one is the Robson Square, which is the public plaza in the Canada. So in this one, they consider about the user who are using wheelchair. So they created the stair and also the ramp in between, which is called the stramp. Is you typing the STRAMP in the Google, this picture probably like pop up. they try to combine the ramp with the stair to make it accessible for people with wheelchair or the mobility car. But is it really accessible to everyone? Because after I have seen this plate and I also researched further, and I found that there are some group of people that have tried this plate. So this plate ha- so some people that have tried this plate, they actually see that the lamp like are too steep for people who are using wheelchair, and it doesn't provide the handrail, which can create the dangerous for that group of people. And also for the stair, since the stair and the ramp are in the same color, which is the gray color, so it may be hard for people with visual impairment to differentiate between the stair and the ramp as well. And another example is the Ed Robert campus. The Ed Robert campus is the universally designed building located in the in USA. In this one, you can see that the ramp are are in like the circle or look like the slider, but this one is, I would say that it is more like really a thing about the user than the previous one, since the ram are like the circumference is wider, so the steep are not too the ram are not too steep, and they also provide the handrails. So in this one is allow like everyone to access, even you are using wheelchair, to get into the second floor safely. And that's what the example of the architecture design. And now I would move on to like I'm graduated from the industrial design, but how do I like convert the knowledge that I got from the industrial design into the user experience design? So as I'm studying in the industrial design, I have got some knowledge about the human-centered design process, which this process is the main process of the UX design as well. So I would think that I'm luckily that I got to learn this design process before. So I understand like some way before, like to how to conduct the research, and how to put the user in the central focus to do the work as well. And lastly, I would say like how do I see like the future design? The future UX design, I would say in the future we may have kind of like the immersive design. For example, like the AR or the VR. For the AR or the augmented reality, in the future we may not need the head-mounted display to use the VR. We may just have like different kind of display, whether in the car like the window display, or the even the cardboard display or the elevator display. This one can be like the example of the AR. And for the VR or the virtual reality, as Facebook have changed to Meta and they have now like trying to create the metaverse, this is an example of the VR as well. And also another example is the virtual reality of the virtual reality is on the this picture are from the movie like Ready Player One. If you haven't watched, I'm really like suggest you to watch. It's a good movie to show like how the VR can be done in the future. Like it may have like the virtual world and also the avatar that you may experience by just wearing the head mounted display as well. So these are all about the UX and UI design process that I have experienced. So if you have any question, you can leave the question in the comment as well.
So thank you so much for your lovely presentation. I really interesting about the Norman Draw. I haven't know about it before, and I think it's really interesting that just put uh, the plate, and it feel like we have to push, and I think it's really close to the architectural thinking, the way of the thinking. So yeah, and we have some like question to discuss with you, like as you are an ID student at our school, and now you are studying UX UI in the UK. Are there any unfamiliar about the thinking process of the UX and UI study? That because you have studied ID and now it's you change to UX and UI. Are there any unfamiliar or any like difficulty?
For me, I would say like actually in terms of the thinking process, it is not much different because we're starting from the user research first, then we move on to the designing part, and then like create the prototype. But from what I'm experienced, I think there are some different, like for the UX and UI, after you done designing, you will go to the usability testing, and you will may come back to redesign again. Is it the more like the iterative work? But for the industrial design, when you are designing something, you need to done testing first before you launch the product.
Okay.
I see. So how did you like adjust the different way of like you said for the ID you have to like uh test it, right? But then the UX part you have to like come back and forth to readjust the work. So is it kind of like hard to adjust the method of this in like different way of learning designing?
um, I would say it's not that hard, but it helped you to kind of like refine your work. Like when you got the feedback of the user, you have a chance to develop your work further. Like, and I would say like for the designing like the UX and UI, since you are working like in the digital file, so you can always change it easily. But for the industrial design, when you create like the mock-up, even you only change like a little bit part of that product, it is also like the hard work because you need to recreate your prototype like into the new one.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah. Are there any common skill that would be beneficial for to applying to other design field, like in any design field, like architecture or something like that? The common
I
skill.
think yeah, like the about the accessibility, like understanding the accessibility can also be applied into any other design field, especially in the architecture, I guess, because when you consider like about the people with like disabled people with like different impairment, like visual impairment or the auditory impairment, it is also a part. If you understand this one for building, you may, if you have different kind of user, for example that I have explained about the ramp as well for people who are using wheelchair, this can also be applied like in the architecture and in the even in the industrial design, and as simple as the mobile application as well. And another thing is I would say the kind of like the negotiation and communication skill, because in this part I think it can be applied not only in the design field but in any other career. Like if you can communicate well with other people, so you can talk and can be done the task well in any career as well.
Okay, I see. And I think another common skill is like if talking about my department, my program is architecture. I think the one is interesting is the researching method. I think it's quite the
Yeah,
same.
I agree. Yeah, I really like how you like find a way for research stuff like you presenting. So yeah, on the in the end of your presentation, I'm really interested in how you explaining the how you UI impact the globalization. So can you explain more about like the way in the metaverse that you think UI will be like impact in the future?
So like in the future, I think technology will be like developed more than this time. So it will be kind of like the main stuff that affect into our life. Like even now, how it help us like globalize together. Like for example, like we are streaming now. This also help and also have the UX UI part in this part. and also in the mobile application that we are using every day. And in the future, it may not just like having the mobile, so it may have like the other device that can help you get into like the virtual world, like the immersive world as well.
Okay.
So I
And
think she already answer
yeah.
the next question that we prepare already, like we're going to ask
Okay.
you how it's going to be in the future. So I
Okay.
think I have one last question, that you are studying in Thailand before, right? The ID industrial, but then right now you are studying in the UK, like in the English education. So is there any different of like learning environment or method of learning over there and here from your experience?
For the learning environment, I would say that the facility is also like the important, like you have like the resource like the library, and also the space where you can go like to work like in the university area. And in terms of other stuff apart from the environment, I would say that the information like can be like really easy to access, like whether in the website or like into like the places as well. And I think another thing is like the work-life balance. But I think this one I'm not sure that I can compare or not, because during I'm studying in Thailand, I'm studying the bachelor degree. So it's have like more knowledge that I need to do and more tasks that I need to do. So I'm not sure that I can compare or not. But during I'm studying master degree here, I think I have more of like the work-life balance.
Um, that's good for
And
you though.
and yeah,
Yeah,
and
yeah, and
have
yeah.
according to your presentation, you have also exchange in like India, right?
Yeah.
So are there any like difference between the UK and Thailand?
Yeah, I would say that is totally different in India. Like because that time I think I have gained more like the life experience than the knowledge that I get, to be honest. Yeah, but that is also good, because during I'm studying here, I also met like international friends. Like I also met the Indian friends, so I have something to talk with them, and like we also like have a chance to sharing experience. And I would say like studying in another country, the one thing that you probably get is like you will have new friends from other country. Like in my class, I also have like Indonesian friends, Taiwanese friend, like even like Nigerian or Indian. So this can help you like maybe like create the connection in with people in different country as well.
Okay.
Okay, so by the way, are there any question from the audience? You can type in the chat box.
Yeah. Let's see some question from the audience. Do we have any question? She asked that does COVID affect the UX UI career? If it does, how does it? Like,
I think for the UX and UI career, in terms of the working process, it not affects much because you work like on the device. But I think it may affect in terms of the conducting the research, because you cannot do the kind of like the physical research or the physical interview with the real user. So you need to change all the process to be like online in order to contact with the user.
But I think the good thing of the COVID is like it's make the UX and UI more like getting boom, something like that, isn't it?
Yeah, because most of people will spend time on the social or the device much better than when there is no COVID situation.
yeah, that's true. Like we are meeting right now. Okay, so let's see. Is there any question? So, okay, what do you prefer between UX, UI, or industrial design, as you already study in two field?
I would say like I cannot like if I need to choose the career, I think I cannot like decide now because I'm still like studying the UX design, so I cannot like compare it much. But I think maybe in the future, UX and UI can be like a good part to like study further, and also both of these like can be combined because both of it is mainly like focus on the usage and understand user and can design something for them. It will depend on like whether what group of people that we are designing for and what do they need. Yeah.
Okay, so we kind of running out of time. So last question. Um, Nacha asks, in your opinion, what do you think is the most important thing to be UX UI designer? Like the most important
I think
thing
the
that
most important thing is to the understanding like since I have like mentioned in the presentation that designer are not the user, so understanding is really important in order to understand like the user will to create something for them.
Thank you for the audience question. I think we are coming to the last session of the Cinema Carnival.
Would you like to tell something to like the audience or to who is interested in this field?
So I would say that if you are interested in the UX and the UI, if you don't know yet like what is it, you may start from like looking through it in detail first, and maybe if you not sure whether you can do this one or not, you can try just designing just sketches. This can also help because I think everyone can do the UX and UI design, since it's what we are actually like looking through it like in everyday life. And for those of you, if you are interested in studying, I think, um, for example, like my module for it's also like welcome for people who don't have like any background in about the design as well. So if some of you interested, like you can look further and into different course. Like some course may focus more on the human interaction design, but the one that I choose is focused more on the user experience design. So just choose like the one that fit to you the most.
I'm sure a lot of the audience will getting very interesting from you. So yeah, thank you so much for joining us today, Nupit. It's a great honor for us to have you as a guest, and we have a lot of fun chatting with you and new perspective from your experience.
Yeah,
So
we've got a lot of news aspects from about the UX UI from you.
Yeah. Thank you, you too, as well, for inviting me to participate in this talk. It also a new experience for me to sharing like some experience that I have got as well. Thank you.
yeah, it's a lot of fun. So yeah, thank you so much. We're not going to bother your time to sleep anymore. So see you around a bit.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Well, so we would like to conclude for today. According to her presentation, there are many interesting points. Personally, she made me even more curious about UX UI in terms of how it's going to affect to the modern architecture. And I'm definitely going to research more about it. And what do you think, Mike?
Yeah, I'm sure that not only us, but today's presentation will be an eye-opening experience for many audience that come to listen as well. So it's a really great presentation. I really like it.
Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining us today. Please stay tuned for the next Seminar Carnival. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. See you.
Bye.
Bye
See
bye.
you.